Hi, welcome to my small Halloween vlog. Today I'll be talking about a couple of books that I relate to Halloween, and all of them are sort of loosely based around Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. I've read this book very recently, especially because Halloween was coming up, and I'll start off by talking about this book specifically. This book tells a story about two friends. One of them is William, who is like your archetypical good boy main character that you know from movies and other books. And the other boy is James, and James is more, how do you say that? He's like a good kid, but he has a streak of evil in him, or he could be persuaded towards evil more easily than William. And they live in this town, and one day this circus or fair kind of thing arrives in their town, and it gets installed on a field, but they arrive at night and the boys wake up due to the sound of the calliope, which I had to look up because I did not know that word, and they see that the circus gets installed in a pretty strange way. And after that, they start to notice that strange things are happening in their town. People are disappearing. People are apparently being replaced. And one person is trying to guide them through this, which is the father of William, who works at the library. He is like your stereotypical mentor type person in this book. And he is trying to help them and protect them from the Illustrated Man. And the Illustrated Man is your absolutely evil, mean villain, who is the circus leader or the leader of the freak show that came to town, because he's not alone. He has a lot of freaks with him, strange people, but we get to know a bit more about those as well, strange creatures as well. And besides the freaks, there are other scary elements in this fair. You have the carousel and you have the mirror maze, which all have fantastical elements connected to them, which you should actually discover in the book itself. I do not want to spoil the book for anyone. Now, what do I want to tell you about this book? How did I like it? Overall, I actually really enjoyed this. It was everything that I wanted it to be, in the sense that it has all the elements of a really good like 80s scary movie. The easiest and most obvious link or connection would be It by Stephen King, probably, because it also has these kids and all the scary things that are happening to them. Meow. 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 I feel like there is also a comparison with it because despite children being the main characters, it is kind of a scary movie, probably too scary for kids. Or scary book. And this one also felt like it would be a bit too scary for actual kids, or it might not be. I don't know what scares kids nowadays, but there was this one scene in particular that really told me how mean that the Illustrated Man is, and that was the scene in the library. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but it made me actually really hate the Illustrated Man the most out of all the scenes in this book. But going back to how I felt about this book, the content was absolutely brilliant. It was everything that I wanted it to be, but the writing is quite a style clash actually with the content of this book. So I'm not going to say that the writing is bad, because it absolutely wasn't. Ray Bradbury has this beautiful style of prose that has some poetic elements at times, and it is really nice to read that, but it kind of clashed with the content of this book. And what I mean by that is that you have this really exciting stuff going on, or scary stuff going on, and then Ray Bradbury goes on like this rant through a character, on this rant about the difference between good and evil, which is very interesting in and of itself, but it is just misplaced in this book at that moment, because it totally breaks up the tension and it suddenly switches off all that has been built up, and you are getting kind of bored all of a sudden. It is not what you want in that moment. So I feel like he sort of shot himself in the foot there, like he was trying to do too many things at once, or just at the wrong moments during the book. But I would still definitely recommend this book if you know what you're getting yourself into. Now I just want to run you through some other books that I've been thinking about while reading this one, all of which would sort of be Halloween recommendations, or books that would apply to the season. I already mentioned It by Stephen King. I didn't pull it off the shelf, but that one is about this clown Pennywise who is like bothering kids. I think everyone has heard about that one by now, so I'm not going into too much detail there. But if you haven't read it yet and you are into scary clowns, then definitely go for that one. So other books I somehow connected to Something Wicked This Way Comes. First of which is the obvious one, Macbeth by William Shakespeare. Because of the title, Something Wicked This Way Comes is part of a quote that is directly pulled from Macbeth. It is by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Macbeth is about Macbeth, who wants to be king. Well, at first he doesn't really have that ambition, but then he meets three witches, and these three witches sort of predict or have fun predicting that he would be the king, and then Macbeth tells his wife, and his wife says then, oh yes, sure, we have to make this happen, and they together pull off the murder of the king, and Macbeth is the successor, and then both he and his wife have to deal with the aftermath of killing. Yeah, very professional Macbeth summary here. Next, I was telling you about the prose and it being kind of poetic in places, and I wanted just to show you some other scary books that work well with more poetic prose. First of which is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I liked the prose in this one, I liked the writing in this one. This was actually not one of my favorite books, but that's just because content-wise, this is a book in which you aren't quite sure what is real and what wasn't real. And I don't really like that in a book. I want to know in the end what was actually happening and what wasn't. And by that I do not mean that it has to be set in realism. It can be a fantastical explanation. It can be a paranormal explanation. I don't mind. But there has to be an explanation. And there really isn't one in The Haunting of Hill House. But the writing was good. That actually reminds me of another possible Halloween book that frustrated me, which was Bunny by Mona Awad. Well, I cannot go get it now. I'm being held hostage by a cat in my lap. So there's that. I'll show a picture. Bunny was about a girl who goes to college, and then she joins this sorority, and the girls in that sorority have a very peculiar way of treating men. Let's keep it at that. But the frustrating thing for me in that one was also that there were a lot of these fever dream-like scenes, and you never end up knowing what was real and what wasn't. So yeah, The Haunting of Hill House. And then another one with beautiful prose is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Now this one isn't like a scary book, but it does have this suspense element to it. A bit of thriller feel, I'd say, but there is so much more to this book. And I'm just happy to have a chance to recommend this one to you, because Rebecca is so far, I think, my most favorite book of the year. It's a beautiful book. Just read it. Just read this one. Doesn't matter if it's Halloween or not. Just read Rebecca. Then I have some books related to the children as main characters in a scary book. First off is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Coraline is a girl who lives in a house with her mom and dad, and then one day she finds this entrance to like a parallel house. It's like the same as her own house, but everything seems to be better there. Her mom is kinder there, her dad is more fun there, or has more time for her there. But then everything turns around. So yeah, Coraline. And another one is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This one is about kids who are stranded on an island and then they have to survive there. I wanted to say there's no supernatural element to this, although they for a while believed that there is. This one is actually scary to read. It is kind of horrifying, but yeah, I loved it anyway, which probably says something about how broken I am on the inside. Some books related to like that circus element or like the rides element. Quite recently I read Fantastic Land by Mike Boekhoven. This one has no supernatural element to it, no freaks, no devil in disguise or anything like that. It's just about how humans can turn into like the devil themselves. It's about a hurricane that hits the west coast of the United States, and then this theme park, Fantastic Land, is separated from everything, and people who were working there have to survive there for over a month, and they turn against each other. And then related to the special circus, I have The Night Circus, which isn't a scary book, but it is a really beautiful fantasy book. So maybe for the people who do not want to read scary stories, I would recommend you to read The Night Circus. If you are into fantasy, this is like beautiful, subtle fantasy. And I'm ending with like the freaks and the special creatures that were in Something Wicked This Way Comes. If you think about them, you automatically end up with Tim Burton. You cannot escape it. So I have both The Nightmare Before Christmas here and The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories. Both of these are quite short. I don't want to tell too much about them. I think The Nightmare Before Christmas you probably know already because of the stop motion film, which is pretty great. But the book is good as well, and the drawings are really nice. And then you have The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories, which is just like all these stories and little tidbits about different creatures that were invented by Tim Burton, who has a wonderful imagination. And then I completely forgot to talk about Geek Love by Catherine Dunn, which is this completely strange book in which a family actually tries and create children that are freaks in order to have this freak show on the road and to make money. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Happy Halloween if you celebrate, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Bye!